Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video I'm going to show you how to use my free card making SVGs to cut on either the Cricut Joy or the larger Cricut Explore Airs or Makers. We're making Valentine's Day cards in this video, but the same techniques can be used for any of my upcoming card designs which I'll be releasing throughout 2022. Each of the card designs comes in several different versions. First is the version to be cut on the little Cricut Joy machine, and each of my cards come in 3 separate sizes for this so that you can cut them on each of the 3 Cricut insert sizes that you can buy. So this is how the largest size looks, and then you've got the medium size card and then the little small one. So this is just to show you the 3 different sizes that will be included in your download folder. Also included in your download folder is a separate version of the card which has been designed to be cut on the larger Explore Airs and Cricut Makers. I will go through the instructions for those in this video as well. If you just want to view that bit and you don't need to know about the Cricut Joy, then skip to the timestamp you can see on the screen now, and that will just show you how to format my files for those larger machines. To get these designs, check the description in the link or go to craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs. The download comes in a zip folder, and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. If you're not sure how to do this, again check the description of the video and follow the link to the written tutorial which accompanies this video. After you've unzipped the folder, go into the folder that you've unzipped and then you'll see files which look like this. I've split out the different types of formatting into the different types of machines so that you can choose which machine you have to make sure you're using the correct file. I'll start this video with the Cricut Joy, and in here you've got 3 separate sized SVG files: small, medium and large, and these correspond to the different sizes of card insert that you can buy from Cricut. If you're not sure which size you've got, then open up the PDF document which is in this folder called How to Make Cricut Joy Cards, and then have a little look through here because I list out all of the sizes and what they look like on the packets inside this PDF. And this is also a really handy guide on how to format my card files and get them all cut out on your Joy. If you're using one of the bigger Cricut machines, you'll want to go into the Cricut Explorers and Makers, and then there's a separate SVG file in there. And again, you've got a PDF guide on how to format the file. It looks like a lot, but don't worry, it's really simple. It can just be done in a couple of minutes, and all you're really doing is adding score lines and pen lines, so draw lines, if the card you've chosen has those in it. Let's see how to do it for the Cricut Joy cards first. I've opened up Design Space, and now I can go over to Upload on the left, and then Upload Image. I'm then going to click Browse to find the file on my computer. Now, as I said, we want the Cricut Joy folder, and then I'm going to show you with a medium one to start with. Although when I go to cut it out at the end, I think I actually cut a large one. I've already done the cutting out, so I'm recording this video kind of backwards. But let's click the medium one, and then it will load in like this. So don't worry that you've got lots of green. I'm going to explain what that all means in a moment. So go ahead and press Upload, and then click it in your recent uploads and press Add to Canvas. And here it is. Now it should load in at the correct size for the pre-made Cricut insert cards that you can buy. So my width on this one is 4 and the height is 5.25. I would highly recommend double checking against the packaging of the card inserts that you're going to be using just to make sure this is right. And you want to make sure that it's the size of the insert, not the actual card. So when you're looking at the box, the card size is slightly bigger than the insert. And what we want to make our design in Design Space is that insert size. So this one is all looking correct, which means it's ready for me to start having a little think about what I need to do with these layers. I'm going to click over on the group on the right hand side and press Ungroup to separate it out. I've now got one group left, which is the cut layer with the black, and then the green, which will be a draw layer. And then underneath, I've got this grey rectangle. I've included this for in case you want to cut your own insert card. So if you're not using one of the pre-cut Cricut ones, then you might want to use your Joy to cut the little rectangle which will go inside of your card to show through all of the gaps. However, I am using the pre-made ones, so I don't need this layer, so I'm just going to click it in the layers panel, press delete on my keyboard to get rid of it. Next, we need to change the green layer to a draw layer. And for all of my card templates, if you see a green layer, a lime green layer like this one, it means that this needs to be changed to draw. To do that, simply click the layer over in the layers panel, and then under the operation drop down, change it to pen. You can change the color by clicking in here and then choose the type of pen that you want to use in here, and also choose the color. Now when you're changing that, it's really important that we have the Joy set as the machine we're going to be using. Over here on the right, you can see mine currently says the Maker, so I'm just going to change that to my Cricut Joy. After doing that, you might find that you get a little warning triangle appear and it tells you your pen is not compatible. That's because there are a lot more pens available for the Cricut Maker and other larger machines. So if you've accidentally chosen one of those and then changed it to the Joy, you might find that the one you chose isn't compatible. And if that's the case, just go into it. And now this list will have updated to only show the Cricut Joy pens. So you can change it to one that will work, and then that warning triangle will go away. There's one thing left that we need to do, which is to tell the Cricut that we want it to draw these heart bits on the same card that it's going to be cutting. If we were just to click Make It Now, it would try and do the cutting on one piece of card and the drawing on another, which isn't what we want. Press Select All along the top, and then down the bottom, press Attach. That's what tells the Cricut to do everything on the same piece of card. Next, go ahead and click Make It. Choose On Card Mat, so you will need the Cricut Joy card mat for these cards, and then press Continue. Make sure you've got the correct size in here for the one that you're going to be cutting. I'm doing the medium size card, which is the one it's automatically selected for me. Then click Continue to connect to your Cricut Joy. We're going to be using the Cricut Joy card mat, and this is what it looks like, and here it is out of the packaging. The front of it has a little cellophane wrapper on, so we're going to pull that off, and then underneath there is all sticky. And then it pulls out so we can slide our card in. These are the 3 different sizes of Cricut Joy insert cards that I was talking about at the start of the video, so choose the one that corresponds to what you've got in Design Space. These packs contain envelopes, cards, and then the insert pieces. You'll need an insert piece and a card for these projects. Take the card and open it up, and then slide the back piece underneath the little gap foldy thing in the Cricut Joy mat, and then push it in. The lines on the mat correspond to the size of the insert card that you're using. I know I showed it to you with a medium card when I was looking in Design Space, but this is actually a large one because, as I said, I did record this bit separately. Push down to make sure the front of the card gets stuck to that sticky, and if you've got a brayer, then move it up and down to get a really good stick. In Design Space, click Continue, and it will connect to your Joy. Choose Insert Card as the material that we're going to use. And then it will tell you to load the pen. Here are my Cricut Joy pens, and these work best if you store them with the nibs pointing downwards. It just helps the ink last a little bit longer. You need to make sure you're using specific pens for the Cricut Joy because the bigger ones won't work. You'll know because they say Cricut Joy on the side. Choose your pen. I'm going to use this red one, and then open up the Cricut Joy. Open the clasp and take out the blade, and then there's a little magnet on the side of the Cricut Joy to keep your blade nice and safe. Take the lid off of the pen and then put it into the hole. Make sure you close up that clamp nice and tight, and then we're going to load the mat. Make sure the arrow is facing in towards the machine, and we want to get this in one smooth motion with both sides touching the roller at the same time. So slide it under the little plastic guides and then it will feed it into the machine and it will just pull the mat through a couple of times to check that it's happy with everything. And then click go on your Design Space screen and it's going to do the draw portion of the card first. Here it is doing the drawing, and I have sped this up a little bit because otherwise, you'd be here a long time. But actually, it is pretty quick anyway. I was quite surprised at how quickly it did the drawing. When it's finished, go back to Design Space and you see it's telling you to put the blade in. So we need to do that before we press the go button. Undo the clamp and take out the pen. Don't forget to put the lid back on and then store it with the nib facing down. And then take your blade, put it in the blade holder, and again close up that clamp. Now head back to Design Space and click go, and it will feed the mat through and do the cutting part of the card. Again, I've sped this up, but it is pretty quick and I love watching it go, so I thought I'd leave this section of the video in. You can see how it works from top to bottom, cutting out all of those little pieces. I was really impressed at how well the Joy cuts. Even on those teeny tiny hearts, it does them perfectly. Everything's aligned within those draw lines, so you know it's going to look beautiful when it's finished. And as well as cutting out all the hearts in the middle, it's going to do the corners of my card, which are going to be really important for the next step. When it's finished, head back to Design Space and a little box will come up with an unload button. So go ahead and click on that one and it would put the mat out of the machine for you. We're done with this now, so just click done and it will take you back to the project screen. Carefully peel up the front of your card off of the stickiness of the mat, being careful not to bend or tear, and then slide the back piece out from your mat. You might have some little cardstock pieces still connected, so just poke them out with your fingers, or you could use a weeding tool or something else small and pointy, and then use your scraper tool to get all the little bits that are stuck on the front of your mat off. Don't forget to put that cellophane protector sheet back on when you're done so that you can protect your mat. When you've finished taking out all the little parts, it's time to put in the insert. So open up the card and position the insert so that the pretty side is facing outwards, and then slide it under one of the corners, getting it right up into those edges. Then do it into the corner on the other side, and you can bend it a little bit, but make sure you don't actually add any creases or fold lines into that card. And then tuck it under the two bottom ones. You might need to wiggle it about a bit to get it to go flat, but it should sit completely flat to show that it's in the correct position. When it's all closed up, here you go. This is what it looks like. Isn't it pretty? If you're cutting this card on the larger Cricut machines, so the Cricut Explore Air 2 or 3, or the Maker or Maker 3, then you'll need to do a little bit of extra formatting, and it looks a little bit different to how we did it with the Joy. So go into Upload and then Upload Image, and this time we're going to go into the folder that says Cricut Explorers and Makers, and then select the SVG file in there. This one's a bit different because we're going to be cutting the card base as well as just the bits on the front, and also if you're making one of my newer card designs, then it will come with an envelope as well. The reason my Cricut Joy cards don't come with envelopes and don't come with the full card base that you fold is because that would make it too big to be able to cut on the Joy. The bigger machines can handle it just fine though, so I'm going to go ahead and press Upload and then click the design and press Add to Canvas. Now at the moment you see I've got lots of warning triangles over here, and that's because I've still got my machine set to my Joy, which means it's telling me that everything on my screen is too big to be able to cut. To fix that, simply click into the drop down and change it to the machine you're going to be using. So I've put mine to my Maker. Now at the moment, this is all kind of showing up as the wrong colours, and there are a few things we need to change. First, click on the main group over in the Layers panel, so your very top line, and press Ungroup. and that will separate out the envelope from the card. If you don't want to make an envelope, simply click on it and press delete on your keyboard to remove it from the screen. I am going to be making one though, so I'll show you how to format it. When you see a red shape on my card designs, that means that that layer needs to be set to a score line. So I'm going to click the rectangle in the layers panel and make sure you've just got that rectangle layer. And then under operation, change it to score. If I click away now, you can see the red has gone and it's changed to a dashed line, which is telling me that it's going to score. However, at the moment, if I was to click make it would do the cutting out of the outside of the envelope on one piece of paper, and then it would score on a second piece. And that's not what we want. We want it to do them both on the same piece. So I'm going to click that envelope once more, and then down the bottom of the layers panel, press attach. And that joins that score line to the outside of the envelope. So now that will all happen on the correct piece of card or paper. That's the envelope done. So that was really nice and simple. And now we can move on to the card. I'm just going to move that envelope out the way so it's easier to see what I'm doing. First, I'm going to change the color of my card. So I've clicked on the black card layer in my layers panel. And I'll probably cut this out from a little pink or red. If you click into the advanced menu, you can change the color. It doesn't really matter what you choose in Design Space because your Cricut doesn't actually know what color card you're going to be putting in there. But I like to roughly get an idea of how it's going to look before I cut it out, which is why I'm changing these colors in Design Space. Now by default, I haven't added score lines down the middle of these cards. If you want to add a score line to make it easier to fold, it is really easy to do. Go into Shapes and then choose a score line, which is this first one over here. We need it to be the same height as the card. To find that out, click on the card layer, and then my height is 5.5 inches. So I can click back to that score line and type 5.5 in the height and press enter. Next, I need to center this score line on my card. So drag a box that touches both of those. And now we've got our card and the score line selected. You can see this in the layers panel because those bits have gone grey. Then go into align and then center. And now that score line is exactly in the middle of the card. We will need to attach it just like we did with the score line on the envelope, but first we need to change the green layer to a drawer. I said this earlier when we were looking at the Joy card, but in case you didn't watch that section, if you see anything on my card designs which is lime green, that means it should be a drawer layer. So I'm going to click on my card group over in the layers panel and press ungroup to separate out all the layers. Then I'm going to choose the green layer and then under operation, change it to pen. You can change the colour by clicking the little box and also change the type of pen that you're using. The grey rectangle you can see peeking through these holes is going to be cut from a rectangle of card, and that will show through the holes so that you can see that colour inside. Let's make it a nice bright red. Finally, we need to do our attaching on the card. So to do that, I find it easiest to go over to the layers panel. Click the score line if you added one. If you didn't, that's fine, you don't need it. So click the score line if there is one. Press Shift on your keyboard and choose the drawer layer. And then press Shift again and choose the base card, so the big rectangle. Do not choose the little rectangle which sits underneath the front. We don't want to attach that because that is going to be cut from a separate piece of card. So just to say it again, I've got the score line selected, the pen layer, and the base card. And now down the bottom, press attach. And now this has attached those three, but you can see that red rectangle underneath is still separate, which is exactly what we want. And then this is all ready to cut. So just go and click make it, and it will separate out everything for you. And you can see for this layer, it's going to score it, do the pen and the cut all on the same piece of card. If you want to change your paper size, you can do it in the little drop down here. And then when you're happy with how it's all looking, go ahead and press continue. It will connect to your Cricut machine, and then you can follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut out. I hope you've enjoyed this video on how to make greetings cards using the Cricut Joy or the larger Cricut machines. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut and card making videos. I'll be releasing more greetings cards designs like these very soon, and the best thing is you'll be able to follow the steps in this video for all of my future card designs. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!